So when most people think of suppressors, this comes to mind. What is this? This is the original Surefire 556 RC, the RC1 for, lack of terms. And this is one of the, better cans in the market. You have so many people that will hype this can up and talk about how good it is, and it's not a bad can. We think it's actually performs really well. The biggest problem with these cans is, they're expensive. You're gonna pay for it because it has military trials behind it, right? It's proven. But this is one of those things that over time, this didn't age too well in other places but sound, So outside of that, you have their newest offering, the Foreskin 4, right? And though this can has a lot of Surefire's newer technology in it, it really still doesn't compete with something like this. What is this? This is the Ridgeback Defense Rhodie 6. And this can really did change a lot of my understanding about suppressor technology. And when you're sitting there and you start thinking suppressors, a lot of people are like, well, 556, you can't really tame the snap. You can't make 556 quiet. This does very well. And we're gonna kind of dive in, talk about comparisons, and elaborate and kind of give you guys examples so you can see how well it does hold up to something like the RC Foreskin. Y'all stick around. This is the Red Hat Division. Have a good one. So with this being, kind of one of the most sought after cans in 2026, why is gonna be the biggest question, right? Why does it appeal to everybody? Why do you hear so many people talking about it? Well, all the people that have already reviewed it or spoke about it have spoken about it in such a high light, but let's kind of dive deeper into that, right? So this is a 5.5-inch can. Right now, the trend in suppressors is making fighting suppressors, right? Something that's compact, durable, but sounds good and has a nice reduced back pressure feel to it. Something where you're not chewing gas. This has that, and it kind of has more. So primarily, you'll see a lot of creators shooting this on 5.56, but it also performs extremely well on 6-ARC. So that is a pretty common hunting caliber, and a lot of people are kind of leaning into it to do more fighting rifle stuff. So why not have a can that's optimized to do both? Aside that, the weight, right? Weight of material. This is Inconel, right? If you're not familiar, Inconel can heat up really, really hot and still perform really well. The Rhodie 6, 6K, 6J, shout out Tyler from Juicy Media, just are made to perform. All the geometries and engineering that they've put into this can to make it what it is insane. So some of the things you'll notice off the back are kind of how the can is designed, right? They have this entry where it's a lot slimmer, so the overall can diameter is 175, but towards the back near the hub, it's a little bit thinner than that. And then it increases, adding volume to the suppressor. As you go forward, at the front of the design, you have these crazy ports, and the ports are all in places that the engineers deem to be more than acceptable to give you the performance you needed. So this can is extremely good at sound suppression. Like, it sounds amazing. It's getting to the point now when you have suppressors like these that it almost sounds like you're shooting 300 blackout supers, if not quieter than the supers. For the longest time, 5.56 was one of those topics that people discussed and said, you can't ever suppress 5.56. There's nothing you'll be able to do to make 5.56 hearing safe or sound good. It just takes the edge off, right? The bite. Well, I think Ridgeback kind of took that a step further to where now shooting without ears is beyond comfortable. Most people wouldn't suggest it. Me, myself, I don't mind. Shooting with this is very pleasant, and as someone that shoots a lot, the experience in it is amazing. So, let's kind of dive in a little bit more to what the Rhodie 6 offers, how it sounds, and where it shines at. All right, so before we get to this, because this is gonna happen, so be prepared. Like, I don't want you guys to go anywhere. This is happening, Shout out to the Mad Gunsmith, my co-host Jay, for coming through with this. This is definitely going to happen. But before we get there, let's answer some of your questions, right? What does this sound like? People are always curious and they always want to know, what does it sound like, right? Because we're not testing just guns, we're testing suppressors. We need to know if this is going to sound good, because that's kind of like the entire idea. Yes, there's safety concerns and, a lot of the reduced back pressure abilities, features, capabilities are very important. But, in our opinion, the #1 priority should be sound. So let's hear what it sounds like on various different barrel lengths and just a shooting montage of the Rhodie 6. Go ahead and check it out. right, so we're getting ready to rip it on our belt fed. Shout out to our boy, the Mad Gunsmith Jay. If you guys are into stuff like this, these pack panels right here, if you guys have these belt feds, if you guys need these clips to go ahead and get your stuff started, go ahead, check them out at the Redhead Armament. Without further ado, let's get after it. That is how you do it. That can is amazing. No ears on, ladies and gentlemen. This can's a dog. All right, now we can finish the rest of the video. All right, so we have the RC foreskin, we have the Rhodie 6 here. We're gonna just kind of do one shot for you guys to hear. Now, granted, they kind of are similar. I don't think so, but we'll see how the camera picks them up. That shit's loud. This ain't that loud. So we're gonna go 1-to-1, and then you guys let us know. All right, so we're here at the finale, the end of the video. Here's where we're gonna tell you how much we love the Rhodie and you should buy it. And that's exactly what we're gonna do. So we wanted to kind of change things up and give you guys somewhat more of a metric base and kind of just our opinion and a combination of how we think of it. So the Rhodie is a phenomenal can. It's honestly probably my favorite 5.56 can right now. For the price, you cannot find much better. There are some competitors out there, but when you start really diving into the nitty gritty, they really aren't competing, especially on a spectrum where money is a thing, right? People have to spend money to buy these, and some of the competition out there, you're just not getting what you get out of this for the price. So, but let's go over kind of what we came up with combination-wise for the Rhodie to give you guys a better picture. So sound. Again, we've reiterated, sound has to be the /1 priority for me when it comes to suppressors, because that is the /1 reason I'm looking to get this. Something to dampen the sound of the round, something to make it a more pleasant shooting experience. 5 out of 5, it gets 5 stars. I have not heard a can that sounds better on 5.56 from my 10.5 up to my 14.5 than the Rhodie 6. The Rhodie 6 performed perfectly there. There's no competition at this point that I've seen that really can make this that much better. If there is anything that's competitive, it's legitimately on par with the Rhodie 6, where it's kind of perfect. Hey, they're tied. I don't think I've heard anything that actually outshined this. So sound, 5. Weight, this is a bit of a heavy can, so we gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. Again, it's not titanium. You are going to kind of sacrifice certain things. So in the weight category, it met what we needed to, right? It wasn't a heavy can. It wasn't cumbersome on the end of a rifle. It wasn't annoying. So we gave it a 3 out of 5, and we think that was fair. When it comes to innovation, we have to start looking at different things. Now, with the Rhodie 6 being 3D printed, a lot of people would sit there and argue and say, hey, it is innovative. Well, not in the way we want to see it with suppressor technology. The 3D printing thing is kind of something that's already here, and we've seen a lot of it. So for innovation, we also gave it a 3. What I will say is the way they designed it, the engineers, what they did to make this sound and have the reduced back pressure that it did was amazing. So I don't want to take that away and sit there and say, okay, the innovation is not there, because when it comes to an engineering standpoint, we can't speak to the designs because we're not engineers. But as far as what we can see, it's not as innovative as some of the other suppressors that are out on the market or some of the newer ones coming to market. It doesn't really beat that there. It's kind of plain in the aspect of what it is, but a 3 is that average. We want you guys to understand that if we're giving it a 3 out of 5 stars, it is the standard. Right now, Inconel is the standard. 3D printing is the standard. People are doing that. It's good there. We're not taking that away from the can. After that, we want to talk about back pressure, okay? That is a huge thing right now. A lot of cans, and even some cans we tested, are really gassy. And yes, there are gonna be the crowd out there that are gonna talk about tuning the rifle, but a lot of the times you may not wanna do that. We've shot this on tuned rifles, we've shot this on untuned rifles, and the back pressure was extremely pleasant. And I wanna say I've touched on it, but the actual design and how they have the can pushing all the gases forward from the front here is just phenomenal. It does so good at kicking all the gas out. So when you're shooting it, you're not eating gas, you're not chewing gas, you're not tearing up. It's not an unpleasant feeling. So we gave it I want to say 4 out of 5 stars on gas, because it was really, really good. There is another can that we have shot that I think does disseminate gas a little bit better, a little. So we would give it the edge on that can, but we're not gonna talk about that right now. it got a 4 out of 5 on there. This did great with gas. And last thing is gonna be shooter experience. I'm giving it a 5-star for shooter experience. Now, with shooter experience, we're not just taking in the actual experience of shooting the can, but how it worked with the company or how we worked with the company. Some people would go ahead and argue that because it didn't come with actual equipment in the box, that it needs to be a 4 out of 5. But I dealt with the Ridgeback team. They're a phenomenal team, and they really do care about getting stuff out there for the consumers. They want you guys to be happy. They want these products to be great. That's why you haven't seen much bad things about the company. So the shooter experience for the actual can itself was great, but the experience with the company was also great. Therefore, I am giving it a 5. So again, there you guys have it. This can is probably one of the leading cans on the market right now. If you have not put an order in to get one, get you one. I don't know what you're waiting for. There is 2 little brothers to this, the Rhino X and the Rhino S. We will be talking about those and discussing them, as well as the Tisha and the Faction Core Sync, as well as the Raster 5K from Layer X. So that's it from the Redhead division. Thank you guys. Talk to us in the comments. If you're not already following or subscribing, make sure you do that. It's the end of the video. Let us know what you guys think. Did we hit it on the mark with this, or are we far off? Y'all have a good one. Smiley's out.